Are you thinking about getting a tube amp? Well, an inexpensive option is the Blackstar HT5. It's not really in the shot as well as it should be because I didn't really think this through when I composed this whole thing. But it's here, it's in the room. We're going to throw a few guitars at it today, right here on GearGasms. Hi kids, welcome to GearGasms. I'm your host, Alan Barnes. This week we're going to be taking a look at a very popular, not very expensive tube amp, the Blackstar HT5R. Blackstar was started by the guys from Marshall. A couple of guys left there. They formed an amp company. They've only been around a little over 10 years, but they've really made an impact in the industry since they've come out. We're going to get to playing that Blackstar in just a second, but first, the data. The Blackstar HT5R is a 5-watt little tube amp, 2 channels. It has a clean, it's got a dirty overdrive channel. The clean channel, as you can see there, has only a volume and tone. The overdrive select switch is in the middle. There's also a 1-button foot switch that comes with this for changing channels. The overdrive channel has its own gain and volume. 3-band EQ for the overdrive channel. Interesting little feature here called ISF, kids. If you don't know what this is about, easiest way for me to remember is turn it to the right towards Great Britain, it's British. Turn it to the left towards America, and it's American. It's got built-in digital reverb. Now coming around to the back of the amp, it's got multiple speaker outs if you want to run another cabinet. It has an emulated out, which sort of doubles as a headphone out. Of course, the foot switch input. And it has an effects loop with 2 send levels, as you can see there. That's pretty handy as well as a MP3 line input for jamming with your music. All that's great, but as you can see, we see the labels for such things. But where are the actual jacks? Those arrows pointing down, them rascals are up underneath, dude. It's super no bueno. Not convenient at all. And you don't really want to do what I'm doing right now, which is flip a tube amp around all the time trying to get up underneath there. It would have been a lot better if they were mounted towards the back rather than having a picture of them and have them mount from underneath. Alright, YouTube has made it pretty easy for us with all the copyright enforcement that's going on. I can just run through this segment without having to worry about playing any preconceived songs or licks or having to do multiple takes because I screwed them up. But anyway, here's an example of the clean. I've got the bridge pickup of the trusty Strat here to give you an idea. Nothing to really hate about that. Nice, just sort of pleasant, clean sound. Now you can hear the reverb in there. I've got it set a little bit more than halfway. It's not terribly loud. Now that's all the way up, halfway. Down to about 9 o'clock. Almost can't hear it. I leave it at about noon. Just about right. But anyway, you can get this sort of the range of clean tones. Not a lot to show off about it. It sounds nice enough. That forward position on a Fender that we all love, it does well enough with that too. Now, as you might imagine, the clean tone, the clean side, the clean channel of this amp, it takes pedals really well. I've run pedals through the front of it a little bit, trying to dirty it up. I haven't run anything through the loop. But I will say this, the headroom is pretty much there. It's only 5 watts. I can't turn it all the way up because it would eat the microphone up. But if I did, you'd find that it doesn't really seem to get hairy at all. The full range of that clean channel is clean. I kind of like the simplicity of that. T-shirt shout out time. It's the young ones. It's my favorite Britcom of all time. MTV showed it for a brief period a couple years after it was over with in the 80s. There's only 2 seasons. I love all the guys, and since we're doing a British amp today, I thought who better than my friends from the young ones to be emblazoned on my cuerpo. All right, now we're going to switch over to the dirty side of the amp. See how channel 2 sounds. Again, channel 2 has 3 bands of EQ. It has the ISF knob. You can see that I've got all the EQs straight up. The volume is at about 930 and the gain is at about 930. Let's start it with ISF all the way to the right. Middle position on the Strat gives those kind of nice tones. We'll find out if the Jimi Hendrix estate owns that particular chord. They call it the Hendrix chord, but I'm pretty sure that's not intellectual property. Here it is on the neck pickup. Alright, so let's leave it the same, but let's switch the ISF over to the America side. See what we get. Same setting I was just on, but American. Back over to the British, same thing. Now maybe it's just me, but I kind of like the British side better, even as we go a little higher up in the gain. I don't know why. It's just a prejudice I have. Maybe because I think the guys from Blackstar came from Marshall, and that the ISF over on the British side means it's more Marshall-esque. I don't think I'd be wrong by thinking that. It's pretty damn close. We're going to put the gain halfway up. Do that same chord. We're still on the British side. Now I don't know about you, but I think that sounds pretty killer. It's just got a really throaty, kind of full tone. Cleans up with the volume. Now we'll switch the ISF back over to America, leaving everything else exactly where it is. I can't play the rest of that song. You know why. Let's just do this part. Is this part copyrighted? Mr. Johnston, who happened to be on my radio show. Okay, really quickly, while we're still on the Strat, before we switch to something else, I'm going to push that bad boy back to British, and let's goose the gain. Alright, while we're still on the bridge pickup of the Strat, spin the old ISF back over to America, same setting. Back over to the British side. Well, one thing we didn't do yet, we didn't get a chance to do, was to really blow this thing out with a humbucker equipped guitar. The gain's all the way up. I've kind of goosed all 3 of the bands of the EQ over to about 2 o'clock on the dial. The Blackstar HT5 is probably the least expensive tube amp. It's kind of where tube amps start. It's $499 new. So it's kind of accessible for even younger players to a degree. So I thought it would be interesting for the double humbucker test is to use like my most expensive guitar, the most expensive guitar in the house, paired up with the least expensive tube amp and see if they can be friends. As you can hear, it sounds pretty good through the humbuckers. We had the gain cranked all the way up with the Strat too, but it wasn't quite the same beast. I wouldn't think you can, like, you can't do death metal on this amp. You can do any kind of 80s hair rock. Now I deliberately screwed that up. That way Rob Halford and the guys from Judas Priest can't come my revenue in this video. Maybe I should beep the word rape. Probably not allowed to say that on YouTube. That's what it is. It's a rape. Let's try the neck pickup. I'm going to give you just a very, very brief period of really marginally talented noodling. Now let's hear this guy on the American side. I switched the ISF over, bridge pickup. We'll see how that sounds different with humbuckers. I will say double humbucker, the humbucker thing with the high gain, on the Strat I prefer the British side of the ISF, but in this I sort of prefer the American. Maybe I'm not such a non-patriot after all. I actually like the America side for this. Maybe it's because it's an American guitar, I don't know. Well kids, what did we learn today? We learned the Blackstar makes a decent little amp for about 500 bucks. There's a new version of the Blackstar Mark II of this same amp that just came out with some improvements, I think. But even still, the Mark I, very, very good amp for the money. It's not going to put you into the hardcore heavy metal. You're not going to play Slayer or anything really heavier than that. There's no Avenged Sevenfold that's going to come out of that speaker. But probably if you push some pedals in front of the clean sounds, you can get that kind of stuff too. I find that it's very versatile. It's a nice portable little platform. It's not super heavy. I think it's a great, great amp for the money. I would buy one all over again. As always, thank you for your time. We're trying to keep this fun, funny, and informative. Hit the like and subscribe button. I'm Alan Barnes saying, I hope to see you every week right here on GearGasms.